Om. 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 Saishwaraya vidmahe Satyadevaya dhimahi Tanna sarva prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya vidmahe Satyadevaya dhimahi Tanna sarva prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya vidmahe Satyadevaya dhimahi Tanna sarva prachodayat. Om. Offering my humble pranams at the lotus feet of our Mother Sai. As always, it's a wonderful experience trying to figure out what he has as a plan for this satsang to happen on a Sunday. And I do not know, Corona, we get vaccinated probably twice and then there's a booster, but this is what I call the Sai Shield, which is a weekly affair, which is a weekly booster. It helps us tide over. There are quite a few of us who have gone through listening. Right now, there could be a few who are down with COVID, but I think we've learned to accept that it is part of life and it's a part of a challenge that each one of us have to face. Although we have lost a few loved ones, we have had tough moments, but I think Mother Sai, in her infinite compassion, has provided us with that boost, with that ability, like all the mRNA vaccines, where it tries to focus on our internal ability to fight rather than an external way to fight. The Sai Govind Satsang is nothing but an mRNA vaccine. If you believe in that, most of us have had those shots. And Swami brings to us his gems every week. We were scheduled to have a speaker who was going to talk from a Vedam perspective. Swami had his own plans. He was called for a meeting. And the journey started at the last moment yesterday, close to midnight, looking for a speaker. And the bonanza is Swami chooses exactly the same kind to fill in what he had planned. So yes, he plans. He also tells you to accept the uncertainty, but he also tells you to believe that he has a plan for you. And that is how we have got our speaker for today. Someone we have seen in Prasanthi many a times, especially with the Vedam chanting, and who has had his journey from 1997, joining in Brindavan to do his bachelor's, going on to do his MBA, blessed to work in the Sathya Sai organization, where Swami had given him wonderful responsibilities. Added to that, included leading the Vedam group for quite a period of time. As always, Swami has a plan for each one of us. Nothing is permanent. The stay is also a charger for you to face your duties and responsibilities. And like many other gems who have come, Swami always says, parents come first. And that would be the driver that had Brother Sudhindran head back to take care of his mother. And the journey with Sai continues, where he continues to inspire. He's served in different roles in different organizations. But the only thing that all of us are connected to is that Swami has bestowed those blessings on us to pass it on. And he's one person who is passing it on like nobody's business, where every other week is in some satsang or the other inspiring. So we're absolutely blessed to have Brother Sudhindran today with us to share what Swami has in store for us. So I do not know what it is, but as curious as you are, I'm waiting to see what is the mantra for the week that we will take back at the end of the session to try and apply in our lives to move those baby steps in this journey where Sai is everything to each one of us. Sai Ram. Welcome, Brother Sudhindran.
Sai Ram, thank you. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Gananam Tva Ganapatikum Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtharajan Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvannotibhis Sedasadanam Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhirvajinivati Dhenama Vitrayavato Ganeshaya Namaha Saraswatyai Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my most loving and prayerful pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Respected elders, my dear brothers and sisters, very loving Sai Ram to all of you. It is my blessing and privilege that Bhagwan has given me this opportunity to share a few of my thoughts and experiences about the Vedas. So let me begin with the fundamental question. What are the Vedas? What is the meaning of the word Veda? So the word, Sanskrit word Veda means, it's derived from Vid, meaning to know. And therefore, all forms of knowledge are comprised in the Vedas. Vedas are the repositories of all forms of knowledge. And therefore, it is not surprising that it is said, Ananto vai Vedaha, meaning Vedas are infinite. There are so many forms of knowledge that humans have explored across the time, right from the creation. And there are still so many more forms of knowledge that we are completely unaware of. It would probably be apt to say that we humans have been looking at only the tip of the iceberg, whereas there is so much more that is still yet to be revealed to humans. So that is why it is said Ananto vai Vedaha. Vedas are infinite. Now, let us come to the origin of Vedas. So by the way, I don't want to make this a more of a lecture or a tutorial kind of a thing. If there is anything that any one of you feel you want to share or you want to ask, please do feel free. Otherwise, it would, it will probably sound like I'm taking a class. Yeah. So if we look at the origin of Vedas, it is said that the Vedas are apaurushaya, meaning they are not of human origin. They are of divine origin. It is said that Yasya Nishvasitam Vedaha. The Vedas are the very breath of God. And therefore, if one were to ask the question, which came first, the Vedas or God? Then the counter question would be, who came first, the baby or its breath. So this was exactly the analogy given by Kanchi Paramacharya, Chandrasekharendra Saraswati, in his book, The Vedas. So he has the same question, which come first? Even when a child is born, did the child come first or its breath come first? So it came together. As the child was born, it started breathing. So similarly, when so God is beyond creation, He's beyond time. He was there, He is there, He will always be there. And so Vedas were there, are there, and will continue to be there beyond all barriers of time. So, and another thing is that just like how important the breath is for life, Vedas are as important it is for God. And that's why, if we were to put it in Swami's language, we can say that the Vedas and God, they have a avinabhava sambandham. Avinabhava sambandham. They are inseparable. They are almost like two sides of the same coin. So that is the origin of Vedas. Now, if one were to ask, why did Swami give so much importance for Vedas? Number one, of course, we just heard that it is the very breath of God, and therefore it's not surprising. But more importantly, we all know that Swami and all the avatars, as described in Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya cha dushkritam, dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So Lord Krishna said, to protect the pious ones, the devoted ones, and to annihilate the wicked ones, and to restore dharma and righteousness, I incarnate from age to age. And therefore, dharma sthapana is one of the most fundamental objective pillar of Bhagwan's mission on earth. So dharma sthapana was number one on Bhagwan's agenda when he took avatar. And therefore, and if the correlation comes here, it says, Vedokhilo dharmam moolam, meaning to say, Vedas form the root of dharma. And therefore, if Bhagwan has to nourish this tree of dharma, he has to water at the roots, that is the Vedas. It's quite true, isn't it? It would not suffice just to sprinkle water over the leaves. One has to water the roots so that the plant can flourish. And therefore, Swami gave a lot of importance to Vedas, and Veda Poshana and Vidya Poshana were also a very important objective of Bhagwan's mission and complementary to the mission objective of Dharma Sthapana. If also one would observe the names of Bhagwan's residences, mandirs, they have a connection with the Vedas. And I don't think it's a coincidence. If you take Prasanthi Nilayam, Bhagwan's mandir there is called Yajur Mandir. Yajur refers to Vedas, Yajur Veda. If you talk about Brindavan, it is Trayi Brindavan. Trayi is yet another name for the Vedas. And at Kodaikanal, it is Sai Shruti. Shruti is yet another synonym of the Vedas. And therefore, one can probably understand that just as Swami resides in these mandirs, the principle of divinity is enshrined in the Vedas. And if we have to attain divinity, we have to follow the Vedic path. And when I say Vedic path, I'm not talking about any religion, but it's a way of life. It's a spiritual journey, and it is beyond any form of barrier or limitation of age, gender, caste, creed, language, religion, race, country, time, everything. That is how supreme and fundamental the Sanatana Dharma or the Vedic way of life is. We are very lucky because we were we had the good fortune of chanting the Vedas and witnessing the Veda Purusha Saptaha, Jnana Yajna, and so many other Atirudra Mahayajna and such Vedic rituals being conducted right in immediate presence of Bhagwan, the Veda Purusha. And therefore, in fact, when we used to chant, we had the good fortune of chanting the Vedas in Swami's presence on a day-to-day basis, during darshan time since September 2003. Vedas were always there, even earlier before Swami, on any occasion, any festival, before Swami's discourse, the first thing that commenced the proceedings for the day were they started with the Vedic chanting and then other speeches and then Swami's discourse followed. But then from September 2003, Swami instructed that even for darshan morning and evening, we should chant the Vedas. And therefore, we had the good fortune of sitting in front of Swami and chanting the Vedas for hours and hours. Sometimes it would be like 2-3 hours in the morning, 2-3 hours in the evening. And any mantra that we used to chant, Swami used to reciprocate that. When we are making a prayer as a part of that, any sukta or mantra that we used to chant, Swami used to respond just there as if we are conversing with him. That's how Swami used to respond to the Vedic mantras. And then there is this one incident that I would like to share with all of you. So this happened in July 2005. So we were chanting the Narayana Upanishad in Swami's presence. And so you all know it starts with this. Atha Purusho Havai Narayano Kamayata Prajasraje Yeti Narayanat Prano Jayate Manas Sarvendriyani Cha, so on and so forth. So this mantra describes Lord Narayana and also describes and elucidates the significance and the power and the benefits of chanting the mantra Om Namo Narayanaya. So this is when we were chanting this mantra. So back then Swami used to call some of the students and then ask them to translate the mantras into English. So that time Swami called me and then Swami asked me to give the line by line translation of this mantra into English. And therefore when the Vedam chanting group was used to chant one line, and then I would give the meaning in English and then the next line and then the meaning in English, and it used to progress thus. And so at the end of the mantra, just as we finished chanting the mantra, Swami waved his hand and then created a beautiful, exquisite golden necklace. So he created this necklace, and then let me, I have a pics of that I can share with all of you. Yeah, I hope you're able to see my screen. Yeah, okay. So this is the necklace that you see here, that you want me to enlarge? Okay. Yeah, so this is the
No, the screen share
necklace.
is not happening. We are still
Oh,
in
it's
the.
not? Oh, I'm sorry.
It's only in the first view.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Uh, is it visible now? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Yeah. This is the necklace that Swami had created then. So this is the necklace that Bhagwan had materialized. Yeah. Yeah. So so Swami materialized this golden necklace, and then he mentioned that the power of this mantra, Om Namo Narayanaya, is contained in that necklace. And he said that people think that there are two entities, Purusha and Prakriti. No, there's just one supreme God. And then he also mentioned that this mantra Om Namo Narayanaya, it is the very essence of all the scriptures of all the religions of the world, not just the Vedas, but the essence of all the scriptures of all the religions of the world. This is what Swami mentioned, that this month, that Om Namo Narayanaya, that mantra. And then he mentioned this, and then he asked me to share this. I mean, show it to everybody in Sai Kulwant Hall. And then at the end of it, Swami gave me the blessing to keep it with me for a few minutes and during the bhajans. And then at the end of it, after Aarti, when Bhagwan was returning to Mandir, I went to the bhajan hall and because it was very clear in my mind that this necklace is not for me. And Swami had just given this to me to show it to everybody. So when I gave it back to Swami, then Swami took it and then just sent it away from wherever it came from. So this incident, it was like almost like I would say that I had given the line by line translation, which is theory, and Bhagwan had almost taken a practicals class for everybody, because this Narad Upanishad, it says the very same thing. It says there's just only one God. He is not Narayana. And then it also says at the very end, Sarva Veda Parayana Punyam Labhate, that by chanting this mantra Om Namo Narayanaya, one gets the benefit of chanting the entire Vedas. And this is what Swami had said, that this is the essence of all the scriptures of all the religions of the world. So, and yet another interesting perspective is that this Om Namo Narayanaya mantra, basically the mantra derives its power from the Lord's name, Narayana. And therefore, when we chant the name of God with bhakti and shraddha, we get the equal benefit of chanting the Vedas. Because the name of the Lord has that kind of a Shakti. And that's why even in the Vishnu Sahasranama, it says, how when Parvati Devi asks Ishvara, if we are not able to chant the entire Vishnu Sahasranama, is there any quick or a short or a smart way of getting the same benefit? And then Shiva says that Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Mano Rame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane. So by chanting the name of Lord Rama, we get the benefit of chanting the entire Vishnu Sahasranama, 1,000 names of Vishnu. And similarly, when we chant the name of Narayan or any blessed name of any god, we get the benefit of chanting the Vedas. So this principle was very nicely and very, I would say, like explained right before our eyes through this experience by Bhagwan. So this is one experience that I wanted to share with all of you. And then on another occasion, we were chanting the mantra Pushpam. Yopam Pushpam Veda Pushpavan Prajavan Pashuman Bhavati Chandramava Apam Pushpam Pushpavan Prajavan Pashuman Bhavati Ya Evam Veda Yopamayatanam Veda Ayatanava Bhavati. So we were chanting this mantra, and then that time Swami called me and then asked me to give the translation, line by line translation of this mantra in his presence. And therefore, as the Vedam group chanted every line, I gave out the meaning in English, and then we completed chanting the entire mantra. And then Swami called me and told me, "No, this is fine, but what is the essence of this mantra Pushpam?" So I submitted to Swami. Swami, I don't know. Only you'll have to teach us this, please. So then Swami said, the essence of mantra Pushpam is Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. So he said that, and then, but I could not immediately understand, what the connection is between this axiom and then the mantra Pushpam. So I took Swami's namaskar and Pada namaskar, and I went and sat back. And after the bhajans, when I went back to my room, I did some study, and then the truth was revealed to me. So if you take this mantra Pushpam, so the lines that keep that's repeated so many times. Ya evam Veda Yopamayatanam Veda Ayatanava Bhavati. So this basically, it says the one who knows the origin, source of water and even the other elements of creation, the one who knows the source of all the elements of this creation, Ayatanavan Bhavati, becomes one with the source. So if we go into the Anandavalli, there it talks about the creation there. So it starts with Akashad Vayuhu Vayoragnihi Agnerapaha Adhyah Prithvi. Actually, go back right from the beginning. Brahmavida apnoti param tadesha bhyukta satyam jnanamanantam brahma yo vedanihitam guhayam parame vyoman soshnude sarvan kamaan saha brahmana vipaschiteti tasmadva etasmad atmana akasha sambhutaha atmana akasha sambhutaha akashad vayuhu vayoragnihi agnerapah abhyah prithvi prithivya oshadhayah oshadhibhyonnam annat purushah. So it says Atmana Akasha Sambhutaha. From the Atman or divinity emerged the principle of Akasha. From Akasha, Akashat Vayuhu. From Akasha emerged Vayu, wind. Vayor Agnihi. From wind emerged fire. Agner apaha, from fire emerged water. Adbhyaf prithvi, from water emerged earth. Prithivya oshadhayaha, from or earth emerged vegetation or plants. Oshadhibhyonam, from this vegetation emerged food. Annat purushaha, from food emerged man. So if we go back and we try to trace the origin of all the elements of creation, it goes right back. Atmana Akasha Sambhuta. It all emerged from the Atman. And therefore, when it is said, Yopa Majatanam Veda, if you know the origin of all the elements of this creation, Ayatanavan Bhavati, Ayatanam is source. Ayatanavan Bhavati, you become one with the source. And therefore, when you realize that Brahman or divinity is the source or origin of all this entire creation, when you realize this truth, you will become one with the source or the Brahman. And that's what Swami very crisply said, Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. By knowing Brahman, the source, you become one with the Brahman. So this entire mantra was so very nicely, succinctly summarized by Swami in this Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati period. So that shows, how Swami, in fact, every word of Swami is nothing but the Vedas. And this was, in fact, way back many years ago, very learned Vedic Pandit, Brahmashri Kamadhani Garu. He was very well known and very well respected figure in the Vedic circles. When somebody had asked him, does Swami know Vedam? He replied, Swami Cheppinde Vedam. Whatever Swami utters is Veda. These were the words of that very learned Vedic exponent, Brahmashri Kamadhani Garu. So every word, every gesture of Swami is nothing but the Veda. So there's another thought that I would like to share with all of you, just to show how Swami's teachings, mirror or rather crisply summarize the Vedas. So this is mentioned in the yet again in the Brahmananda Valli of the Taittiriya Upanishad. So this Brahmananda Valli, it is a study of the principle of Ananda or bliss. Excuse me, joy or bliss. So it starts with Dhisha smadvatah pavate Dhishodeti surjaha Dhisha smadagnischendrascha Mrityurdhavati panchama iti Saishanandasya mimagumsa bhavati Yuvatsyat sadhu yuvadhyayakaha Ashishto drudishto balishtaha Tasyeyam prithvi sarva vittasya purna syat ta eko manusha anandaha. So this talks about, this is a study of joy or happiness or bliss. And in fact, this is the most important study for all of us, isn't it? Because every human, in fact, every living being aspires for ananda or joy. Everything that we do, every small or big thing that we do, think, not just do, think, say, do, is all based upon that that eternal quest for ananda or joy or bliss. And therefore this is the most important study for every human being, every living being for that matter. So this mantra, it says Saishanandasya mimagumsa bhavati. Yuvat Syat Sadhu Yuvadhyayakaha. So it says, suppose take a youth, he or she, Ashishto Dridishto Balishtaha. He or she is endowed with lot of complete physical strength and good health, bestowed with vitality, physical health and strength, mental capabilities, very, very, very intelligent. Ashishto Dridishto Balishtaha. Okay, you're talking about a youth who is in prime of his age, who is blessed with physical and mental, excellence in all forms. And then Tasyayam Prithvi Sarva Vittasya Purnasyat. So it says that this youth, on top of having all this, is blessed with the entire riches of the world. Imagine that, a youth who is extremely strong physically and mentally, and who is also blessed with all forms of riches in its entirety. And in that youth, we have 1 unit of human joy. So this is it's kind of arithmetical, study of the Ananda. So in this youth, we have 1 unit of Ananda, of human joy, Manava, Manushyananda. So, Tasyayam Prithve Sarva Vittasya Purnayasya Sa Eko Manusha Anandaha Heye Shatam Manusha Anandaha Sa Eko Manushya Gandharvana Manandaha. So, 100 times that 1 unit of human joy, 100 times that is equal to 1 unit of a being, class of beings called Manushya Gandharva. And then 100 times Shatam Manushya Gandharvana Manandaha Sayeko Deva Gandharvana Manandaha. 100 times the joy, one unit of joy of Manushya Gandharva is equal to 1 unit of joy of Deva Gandharva. And so on and so forth. It goes on right up to, every time it builds, multiplies by 100, 100, 100. And then it goes to Indra, Brihaspati, Prajapati, and finally it reaches the ultimate level of Brahmananda, the highest form of joy or bliss. So mathematically, if you map it out, it is basically 1 unit of Brahmananda is equal to Manushya Ananda, human joy, into 10 to the power of 24. So that's like 1 followed by 24 zeros. So that is the equation between human Manava Ananda, human joy, and divinity Brahmananda. And therefore, if we even think, are we able to enjoy even 1 unit of human joy? No, because the 1 unit of human joy is defined as being physically and mentally very, very strong and being in youth, and that's also manageable, but being blessed with the entire riches of the entire world. So that is practically not possible, right? And therefore, if we think we are not even enjoying 1 unit of human joy, then where do we even stand a chance of, we can't even dream of achieving Brahmananda, which is equal to human joy into 10 to the power of 24. So physically, it's just impossible, right? When we are not even able to attain 1 unit of human joy, what's the point of talking about 10 to the power of 24 times that? But this very same Brahmananda, it says in between, it says, Shrotriyasya cha kamahatasya, means at every level of Ananda, it says it can be achieved by a Shrotriya, means one who is well versed in the Shruti or the Vedas, in the Vedic way of life. Not just well versed as in being knowledgeable about that, but actually living that life that is espoused in the Vedas, the Vedic way of life. That person is called a Shrotriya. Shrotriyasya cha akamatasya. Shrotriyasya cha akamahatasya. So a Shrotriya who is bereft of desires, akamatasya, one who is bereft of desires, can achieve every level of this ananda. So that is kind of a fine print given there. In fact, a loophole, I would say, that we can exploit. So physically, it's not possible to attain even 1 unit of human joy, but not just human joy, but 100 times that Manushya Gandharva, 100 times the Deva Gandharva, and then so on and so forth, right up to Brahmananda can be attained by Shotriyasya Chaka Mahatasya, one blessed one who leads a Vedic way of life and also one who is bereft of desires. So this is exposition, in fact, I've spoken about it for the last 5 to 7 minutes, but there are thousands of texts and books that go into detail, of this mantra, and there are so many commentaries on this, Taittiriya Upanishad, Brahmananda Valli. It is, it is so many thousands and thousands of pages, and thousands of people have written about it. But Swami had encapsulated all this into a very, very, very simple equation that even a kid of first standard can understand. Swami said, man minus desires is equal to God, period. Now this entire Brahmananda Valli, that Brahmananda Mimamsa, that, so many levels of Ananda and Shotriyasya Chakamatas, all that Swami had just captured all of that into just one simple equation: man minus desires is equal to God. That even a kid can understand. So that is the beauty of Bhagwan's teachings. That is the beauty of Bhagwan's teachings. It encapsulates. In fact, Swami, makes it so easy for us. He, gives it to us on a platter in a way that we can very, very quickly understand and apply it in our daily lives. So this is yet another, I would say, a thought that I wanted to share with all of you. And everything that Swami says or does is nothing but I would say it is showing us the way as to how we should lead our lives. Swami used to say, my life is my message. And also Swami used to say, living with God is true education. So Swami, when we as students had the good fortune of having Swami's proximity, and every minute that we lived with Bhagwan, Swami used to teach us so many profound lessons. Some verbally, some through his words, actions, some through gestures, some just by being in his presence. Like Lord Dakshinamurti, just by his silence, he bestows the wisdom to everybody. So Swami used to do that, every second he used to give that true education to all of us. And anything small, anything big is enough for Swami to drive home a point. Let me share a very interesting experience. So you're all aware that every year, November 22nd is the university convocation. Convocation of Satsangh Institute of Higher Learning. And Over the years, it used to be customary for the students to stage a drama, on that day, on the convocation day. So, and I was fortunate to be part of this convocation drama, and it was in the year 1999, and Swami used to call us. In fact, every batch of the the convocation drama boys, they used to have the privilege of being called for interview by Swami so many times on the pretext of drama. But then Swami used to, drama is just an excuse basically, and Swami used to call us and then interact with us and shower so much of love and wisdom on all of us. On one such occasion, so this drama, it was so it had a few scenes from the Mahabharata, where the Pancha Pandavas and then Krishna, and then there was a contemporary reflection of that in the contemporary society as well. So one day Swami asked us to get the costumes, because Pancha Pandavas, Krishna, we used to have, we have to dress up in that that mythological those costumes we have to wear. So Swami asked us to get it, and then so that Swami could see it to check if everything is okay. And so that day we had taken all the costumes, and then Swami called the Pancha Pandavas and Krishna. So I was blessed to play the part of Krishna, and then Swami called us and then asked us to wear these costumes. And so then we took the costumes. We were in the interview room, so we went inside in the inner room. We changed into the these the royal costumes, and then we came back. But then it took us almost like 15-20 minutes, and in between Swami sent one or two boys to check whether we are ready or not. So finally we had to it took quite some time to put on all that royal robes and crown and armor and all that. And then we went back to Swami. And after Swami inspected all the costumes, Swami then made a few suggestions, and then Swami asked us to go back and change into whites. We went again into the inner room, and then we changed back into whites. And then we came and sat at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Swami looked at us and asked, "What did you learn from this?" So we were not sure what Swami was hinting at. Then we kept silent. And then Swami asked specifically, "How long did it take for you to change into the royal robes and the mythological costumes?" So then we understood, and then we told Swami, "Forgive us, we took quite some time, I think 15-20 minutes, and we made Swami wait. Sorry, Swami, all that. We apologize." And the Swami said, "Okay, how long did it take for you to change back into whites?" So then we told, "Oh, Swami, that happened in less than 5 minutes time." Then Swami said, "Adera, attachment is very difficult, but detachment is very easy." Swami said, putting on one after the other. Swami, very nicely made that analogy, putting on all that royal robes and the armor and then the crown and all the jewelry and all that attachment. Attachment is very difficult. It's time taking, it is tenuous. But detachment is easy. When we changed back into whites, it happened in less than 2-3 minutes. So, such a very simple incident, but Swami drove home such a very profound lesson. Swami also used to say, very, very nicely, Swami used to give that example of, in a discourse, he used to pick up a kerchief. Holding to the kerchief is difficult, but giving it up is so easy. We all, when I say we, I would include myself first. We all think that spirituality is very, very difficult. It's reserved for very few. It involves going to the Himalayas, doing tapas and all that. But no. So spirituality is actually living daily life. as per Swami's teachings. That is true spirituality. So these kind of every minute, every gesture, every word, action, Swami would drive home such profound truths. On another occasion, Swami had, it was in March 99, Swami had materialized a watch for me. And then Swami, when giving that to me, Swami asked, "What is the meaning of watch?" So, by then I had read quite some Swami's literature. So immediately I mentioned to Swami, watch your words, actions, thoughts, character, and heart. It's easy to parrot it out, but to actually practice this takes a lot of effort. So then during the course of my stay with Swami gave me very, very, very beautiful insights into what actually Swami means when he says, watch your words, watch your actions, watch your thoughts, watch your character and heart. So let me begin with the first one, watch your words. During those days, I was blessed with, when I was doing my BCom, I was blessed with the privilege of going to Purachandra, or when Swami is in Brindavan, going to Trai for dining with Swami. And before and after those sessions, we seated around Swami doing Path Seva. And invariably, Swami used to ask what were the what happened that day. During that day, what happened, and whom did I meet? What did I speak with them? These kind of things. So initially, when this started, I found it very difficult because Swami would ask, "What did you do today?" And I would typically reply, "Swami, got up, then got ready, had breakfast, went to the institute, then came to Mandir." But then Swami asked, "Whom all did you speak to?" So I found it very difficult. I realized that I didn't even remember with whom I spoke. And even if I recollected whom I spoke, to whom I spoke, then Swami asked, "What did you speak?" I would not be able to recall what I spoke with that person. And sometimes when my parents used to come to visit, when they used to come to Prasanthi Nilayam Brindavan, and when I used to go and spend some time with them, again, same question. Swami used to ask, so your parents have come, did you go meet them? What did they say? What did you say? And then I would have probably spent 1.5 hours with my parents, but I would not be able to recall even 5-6 sentences that I spoke and what they spoke. So then I used to draw blank, and Swami used to be waiting, and I didn't know what to say. I could not recall what happened and what I told. So then I realized that I should be conscious, because Swami, then I started preparing. Okay, when I go back this evening to Swami, Swami is going to ask me what I spoke and with whom I spoke. And when that happened, immediately I became conscious of every word that I spoke. And then when I did that, it would always trigger in me, if I'm going to again repeat this, can I first of all repeat these words in front of Swami? So are my words truthful? Are my words factually correct? Am I saying the right thing? Is it required? Does it hurt or harm somebody? Am I speaking truth? Is it being egoistic? So many of these, immediately so many of these criteria come to the mind. And that's when I actually started watching my words. I was conscious of every word that I spoke. And then later, when I went back to Swami, I could clearly remember what I spoke and with whom I spoke and what they replied. So this exercise that Swami made me go through made me cut out more than half of all the unwanted conversations that I would have otherwise had. And like Swami, told just what is required. Hitanga, hitanga, matadali. Just within limits, and also to speak of what is beneficial to others. So that became a practice, daily practice and a sadhana for me. So that's when I actually realized the meaning of watch your words. So when we speak, we have to literally weigh every word that we speak. To think, is it truthful? Is it of use or benefit to the other person? Is it harming anybody? Will Swami be pleased with whatever I say? If we do all that, then if we rather, I should say, if we strive to do all these things, then we will be able to follow Swami teaching of watch your word. So that is one sadhana that Swami made me go through. And then coming to the second, watch your action. One of those days in Prasanthi Nilayam, one of a lady MP, member of parliament, a VVIP, she had come to have a Swami's darshan. And typically, Swami takes the VVIPs for an interview, spends some time with them, gives them blessings, and then sends them, and then they go back. But that day, when Swami called this lady MP for an interview, he also called one or two students along with that MP for the interview. And after the interview, it lasted for about an hour, and then at the end of it, the MP, she came out and then took Swami's blessings, and then she left Mandir. And after she left, Swami called a few of us inside interview room, and then Swami asked, "Do you know why I called these two students along with me for the interview, along with the MP?" So then, we didn't say anything. We didn't know. So then Swami mentioned, "You see, she is a lady, and I am wearing this ochre robe of a sannyasi. As per the rules, a sannyasi should not speak to a lady in isolation. And that's why I call these students along with that lady for an interview. Because if I don't follow this rule, people will cast unwanted aspersions on this ochre robe. Therefore, in order to follow my dharma, since I have donned this ochre robe, I did this so that nobody ever casts any aspersions on this ochre robe." So that was such a eye-opener for us, because Swami is beyond all this. He is the supreme one. He, ultimately, we all, he says, "Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja." All, he says, set aside all this dharma and surrender to me. I'll take care of you. He is the supreme Lord, and he has no rules that bind him. But yet, to set an example for all of us, Swami did this. And Swami then mentioned this very important sentence. He says, "It is not enough if you are good. It is equally important to appear good." So that is such a very important thing, being good and also to appear good. That is very, very important. That is, so when we say watch your action, when Swami says watch your actions, it should fulfill these two criteria. It should be good, and it should also appear to be good for others who see. And then Swami gave a very beautiful example. Swami said, "See, during holidays, you may go out with your sister to a shop, or even to a market, or to a movie, whatever. Though you both know that you are brother and sister, but the general public society, many of them may not know, and they may mistake you. thinking that you're probably going out with your girlfriend or a boyfriend. And that's why Swami said that even though you may be siblings, you should not be found chatting outside in the public. Because though you may be good, you don't have any evil intentions, but the society should not mistake this to be something else. So therefore, when Swami says watch your actions, it should be good, and also it should appear to be good. And then watch your words, action, thoughts. So I would club this thoughts and character together. This is a very humorous incident. So one of those days, typically during Guru Purnima or Shivratri or during Swami's birthday, Swami used to distribute clothes to all the students, white and white for all the boys, and the saris for all the girl students of the high secondary school, primary school, as well as the Anantapur campus. So one of those days, Swami caught a few of boys, and I was part of that group. Swami took us to those storerooms there, and then Swami wanted to distribute saris to all the Anantapur students, women students, and Swami made us go into that storeroom and take out, unpack all those carton boxes and take the saris out and outside and then count them so that it can be ready for distribution by Swami. And so when we did that, some senior students there, they came back and then they told Swami that Swami, there are two colors of saris that we have enough for distribution for all the students. And then they showed those two samples to Swami. And then Swami told, okay, so we have enough of these two saris. Okay, we can choose one of them to be distributed today. Fine. And then suddenly turned to me and asked, which sari is good? I was like, why would first of all Swami ask me? But since Swami asked me this question and he was waiting for an answer, I replied, Swami, anything that you give with your hands is such a treasure, and it will be, treasured by the students, Swami. Both the saris are good. Whatever Swami gives, people will be happy to take. Then Swami told, no, you tell me which sari is good. I told, Swami, both saris are good, Swami, I told. Then Swami, no, you tell me, is this sari better or is this sari better? So I was kind of pushed into a tight corner, and then I had to somehow wriggle out of the situation. So I told, I looked at both of these saris and I told, Swami, this sari is good, I told. And immediately, see, Swami had laid out that trap so neatly and I fell into it. So then immediately Swami asked, so you know to choose saris for ladies. So that was the end of it. How do you know to choose saris for the ladies? That's a very dangerous path to go on, because as per the the dharma, I'm a student who is in the brahmacharya stage, and I had no business to think or apply my mind on which sari is good and which sari will suit ladies better. That is none of my business. But I had very, very Swami had laid out this trap and I had fallen right into it so neatly. And then I didn't know what to say. And then Swami looked at me, intensely for 1 or 2 seconds into my eyes, saying that, don't repeat this. Almost not verbally, but, driving home that message to me. And then Swami smiled and told, you have your sister, so you may have probably gone along with them and chosen saris for them. It's okay, fine. And then Swami chose one of the saris, and then he went outside and distributed the saris to all the lady students there himself. So you see, this, I had no business, how much ever Swami would have pushed me, I should not have even applied my mind on that, because it's none of my business to choose and to think which sari would suit the lady students better. So Swami had driven home this very important message as to watch your thoughts and character. Each of us, we are in different stages of our lives, be it brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa. Though we may not be actually following the nitty-gritties of that, but in essence, we are going through the very same stages of lives, and there are so many dharmas and duties that are expected of us. And therefore, we should always have that in mind, and anything, any thought which runs contrary to our dharma should immediately be disposed of. We should not even go down that line. So if any thought comes to us, we should first think, is this good or bad? If it is bad, no. So will Swami approve of this? Yes, no. If no, immediately drop it. No matter what, however compelling the situation may be, we should put a hard stop to it, saying, if the Swami does not approve of this, then we should just not go down that. We should not even entertain that thought further. So this is what I understood by when Swami says, watch your thoughts and character. And then coming to the last one, watch your heart, H for heart. So during those student days, Swami would typically come to, when we were in Brindavan, Swami would typically come to Brindavan after Shivratri in late Feb and March, and used to spend the summer there and go back to Prasanthi Nilayam just before Guru Purnima. So typically, when Swami used to be there in March, that is when our end semester exams also used to happen. And therefore, all of us students, when we used to come for darshan, we used to bring our books along, sit in the mandir. When we are waiting for Swami, we used to study. And then once, of course, Swami comes, we used to put, keep it aside and then have Swami's darshan, and then again pick up the book and go back. So during those days, I was given that Swami was showering so much of love and attention on me. I was so anxious that I should do the exams well, the end semester exams well, and therefore, in fact, that anxiety kind of overtook me, so much so that when I was waiting, so few of us, we used to wait inside Tri Brindavan. We used to be a part of this audio visual and maintenance group to take care of the mic system, and then also the the electricity supply and the turning on the generator and those kind of things. So we had the privilege, by rotation to be inside Trai Brindavan whenever Swami used to come for darshan. And therefore, it was my turn that day. And then when I was standing there during the end semester exams, I was there, but my mind was so preoccupied with the exams, and I would say even more than revising and going through the portions of these lessons, I was only getting more and more anxious as to how well I would do the exams. And Swami came for darshan that afternoon, and Swami was coming this morning. Swami came down, he very gracefully walked down the carpet, and we were all standing there. And when he was walking in front of me, Swami gave me such a look as if like, he was kind of angry and disappointed, that kind of a look. And then he told me, what is the use? You are here, but your mind is in the examination hall. So it was so shocking. Swami knows our thoughts, but how Swami immediately mentioned that it was very true. I was physically standing there for darshan, but my mind was in the examination hall. And then it struck me how foolish I was. First of all, we have the Supreme Lord right in front of us, giving that, bestowing the boon of his divine darshan. And I was ignoring this, and I was thinking about exams. It is good, yes, one should prepare for exams, One should study well, prepare for exam. But then it is a question of God and something else. Always God takes precedence. And when Swami was right there in front of us giving darshan, I should not have been thinking about the exam. And in fact, I should have been enjoying Swami's darshan and praying to him internally that Swami, I pray for your blessings to the exams well. But instead, my mind was so preoccupied and so obsessed and so overcome by fear of exams that I had actually, I was not even focusing on Swami's darshan. In fact, if we all sit back and reflect, you would also be empathizing with me, because when we are going through the examinations of our life, any difficulty in our life, health, career, relationships, so many difficulties and troubles that we go through in our daily lives. Some of us probably may be doing the same mistake that I did way back when I was a student, because our mind is always preoccupied with these troubles and anxieties and sorrows and difficulties, that our mind is completely focused on the difficulties and we are not looking at Swami. We are not thinking about Swami. Even if we are saying our prayers, we are doing it mechanically, just going down and then going about our daily lives. But instead, we deprioritize focusing on our sorrows and difficulties and troubles and prioritize and focus on Bhagwan. That would be the first step to come out of those troubles and sorrows. So when Swami said that, Swami meant that we should be focusing on Swami and not anything else. Once we do that, then the rest of it will then fall into its place. And I'm reminded of this doha from Kabir. Sukme sumiran sab kare, sukme kare na koi. Jo sukme sumiran kare, dukka he ko hoy. So everybody prays to God during sorrow and troubles. Nobody prays to God when one is happy. When one prays to God, even when one is going through sorrow or happiness, then there will not be any sorrow or trouble at all. So when we focus our mind on God, then this huge mist of the sorrow and troubles, challenges will just disappear, like how when the sun rises and the mist dissipates and disappears. So the key to success would be to focus on Swami and install only Swami in our hearts and not give that space to anybody else or anything else or any other thought, no matter how pressing it may be. Once we do that, and then it is Swami's responsibility then to make sure that he takes control of our lives and then takes it on the right path for all of us. So I would like to conclude with another experience, personally a very, very powerful experience for me. It was again in Brindavan. It was before the afternoon darshan, and some of us, we were some few elders, and then we 2-3 of us students, we were seated around Swami in the Jhula room, and we were doing Path Seva. Suddenly Swami looked at me and asked, "Will you give me whatever I ask for?" So immediately this is such a wonderful opportunity, isn't it? Swami asking me for something. So I told, "Yes, Swami, I will give." Then Swami again asked me, looked at me in my eyes, "Will you really give me whatever I ask for?" And then when he asked me that, I told again, "Yes, Swami, I will definitely give whatever you ask for." Swami then looked at me, pressed this hand towards me and asked, "Will you give me your life?" So immediately I took my hand and I was about to place it on Swami's palm. And I was about to say yes, but just before that, Swami retracted his hand and told me, "Who are you to give your life to me? Your life is already in my hands." So that was such a powerful statement from Swami. Who are you to give your life to me? Your life is already in my hands. And this statement is not true just for me, but all of us. Because Swami, whether we know it or not, Swami is our divine father and mother. Sa, Ai, Baba, divine mother and father. And Swami so often has said that his love is equal to, rather more than the love of 10,000 mothers. And when we have such a loving Swami who protects us, Swami always used to say, intane, ventane, jantane, kantane. He is always in us, in front of us, above us, behind us, around us, every moment, and protecting us. With such a loving Lord who protects us every second, what more can we aspire for? What more can we aspire for? All that we need to do is just to follow Swami's teachings. As Swami used to say, there's no use of tons of liters and liters of gallons of donkey milk. 1 teaspoon of cow milk is enough. So even if we don't have to go through the entire ocean of Swami's teachings, or for that matter, the Vedas and Vedanta and the Upanishads, because all of that is succinctly summarized in Swami's teachings. And you just take one teaching of Swami and we practice that in our daily life. That is enough to take us to his lotus feet. So I was just, it occurred to me this afternoon, so that tomorrow is 14th of February, celebrated as Valentine's Day. And, when I think about love in its purest, pristine form of the divine love of Swami, and when we compare it with any other form of love, how all that just fades into nothing. And also, I just recollected another very important statement that Swami made. It was on some occasion, probably it was a gratitude program at the end of our course, or it was some other occasion, and all of us students in Mandir, we shouted, "Swami, we love you." We shouted, "Swami, we love you." Sometimes Swami say, "I love you too." But one day Swami said, "You don't love Swami. You like Swami, but you don't love Swami." It is such a very piercing statement, such a very heavy statement. It is it's actually a sadhana, personal sadhana for each one of us to introspect and then find out if we like Swami or we really love Swami. So that, I think, would be an appropriate message for the Valentine's Day that's coming for tomorrow. So with these few words, I would like to conclude this talk, and I offer my gratitude to Swami for having given me this opportunity of introspection and also sharing my thoughts and feelings with all of you. And I would thank you all for giving this opportunity to me and for having patiently listened to me. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Sai Ishwararpanamastu. Sai Ram. Thank you.
Sai Ram, brother. Nothing can compare. As I said, every week there is a message. I would like, if Satyana is here, Satyana is our resident tutor for Vedas, especially people like me. um, who has an interest, but then the learning process has to come in some way, right? And you got to develop a love for it. And he has epitomized the process of teaching us in simple manner, which started from the same time that you mentioned. And today, the little that we know to chant, it is his effort to try and put that love. There's quite a lot of people here who spread the Vedic principles that Swami has said. And this is such a beautiful session today to reflect on that. I can't be more grateful. So, Satyana, would you like to say a few words, please?
Sai Ram, brother Sudhindran.
Sai Ram.
Extremely happy when I heard middle of last night that you were going to be talking today. We all have been looking up to all of you. Primarily, not just because of being a student, but a real student who has been following Swami's teachings very closely. Whatever you shared today about the watch, the way you all have been living up to it, it has been a huge inspiration for us. And when Swami had called all of you to teach everybody in Kulwant Hall, and then he announced that every person in the world should be chanting Vedas, that was the first time when even the thought had occurred to all of us here. And as you know, we have no proficiency, we do not know the language, we know nothing at all. But Swami has said it, so we must start learning, right? So that's how, I don't know, right or wrong, we all have been doing something for the last several years. But I want to tell you something. Right now, what we are learning is Narayana Upanishad.
Oh, very interesting.
Okay, and let me give you one more incident. Okay, the last time that you had given a talk, I don't know whether it was for Tamil Nadu or something. You had spoken, and at that time you had spoken about the same Brahmananda Valli. Okay, and the Brahmananda Mahimamsa, and that was the exact week I was teaching them that same verse. Okay, so I do not know how Swami arranges everything, right? This is how he shows that he's always there for us. Okay, and see how he sends people at the appropriate times to reinforce the message, right? That you know the meaning, little more depth of the way Swami has interpreted it. I mean, no words at all. We would definitely like to listen to a lot more from you, so that we can learn, we can spread this, because it's a unique privilege that Swami has given us, because it is not something that was easily available to a common man, right? And all of you have been doing a yeoman service of that. And thank you so much for taking this time. And I hope you will take more time to share with us. Okay. And maybe we could exchange and learn from you, as to whether how Swami had wanted us to share this learning from the Vedic mantras and everything. It's so beautiful. I'm really, really blessed today. We are all blessed today, and hope to be meeting you very soon again.
Sairam. Yes, Swami willing. As nothing is certain. I think, but very beautiful point to introspect. Do you like or love? It's always a tough thing, right? In life, to figure out the difference between like and love. It's just a small shift from here to there. But then that is all that you will have a boundary for like. You can dislike also. But once it comes to love, there is no going back.
Absolutely.
Right? It's only a lack of love. In like, there is a possibility of a change. So it's losing your mind, and then that's love, right? When the mind stops thinking, then it becomes unconditional. There's no clause to it. So a lot of connect for me today, Prakriti especially. I do not know what has gotten into me on that aspect of it, but it is the messages are so subtle and at the same time sharp and at the right moment. All I can say, there are wonderful souls here who are helping us in this process of connecting with all of you. Sairam to each one of you present today, and As always, we're trying to change this tagline. We do not know who the speaker. We think we know who the speaker is for next week. We presume that he will be the speaker. But until that invite comes from me, which is closer to that happening, with Swami willing, there will be a speaker next Sunday. And looking forward to having you all on Sai Govind Satsangh. Sai Ram, stay safe, and let's finish with Samasta Loka.
Sai Ram, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram Nandakupal sir. Sai Ram. So you finished your TED, you finished the TED talk. Sai Ram. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba Ji ki.